Recall the vibrant presence of Robert Plant, the charismatic frontman of the legendary rock band Led Zeppelin during the tumultuous 70s. With disheveled hair and often shirtless, he left an indelible mark, captivating audiences of all generations with timeless hits, like Stairway to Heaven and Black Dog. Beyond his triumphs with Led Zeppelin, Plant's solo career also resonated strongly. However, beneath the surface of his success lay a path fraught with tragedy, concealed for 5 decades. Today, we will unveil the complete narrative of the adversities that shadowed Robert's life, offering a glimpse into the untold challenges he faced. Robert Plant's journey from a comfortable middle-class upbringing in Staffordshire, England, to becoming a rock legend was marked by a tragic internal conflict. Born to an engineer father who envisioned a future for him in accounting, Plant found himself torn between familial expectations and his deep passion for blues music. His parents, urging him to follow a more conventional path, pushed him toward academia. But Plant struggled to feign interest in a future that didn't align with his true desires. In 1970, Plant opened up about the difficulty of balancing his education with his burgeoning love for music, stating it was really hard to combine the two and keep a compatible relationship with schoolmasters and parents at the same time as doing what I really wanted to do. The struggle reached a breaking point, leading Plant to make a pivotal decision at the tender age of 17. He left school to pursue his musical aspirations. This choice, although fueled by passion, inflicted a deep wound on his relationship with his parents. Plant recalled, "I got in with this crew, which I'm afraid to upset my parents a bit, and the cleft between Mom and Dad and Robert got a bit wider and a bit wider." The familial discord, resulting from his divergence from the expected path, was a tragic consequence of following his heart. However, as fate would have it, Plant's gamble on his musical talent paid off handsomely. His departure from the conventional route of obtaining an accounting degree led to an extraordinary career. The young artist found success, forming the iconic rock band Led Zeppelin. Despite the initial strains of his parents, Plant managed to reconcile with them in later years. Reflecting on his journey, he acknowledged the necessity of leaving home at a young age, stating, "I had my moment of professional potential, and because I didn't accept it, I had to leave home when I was 17. So I toughened up pretty quickly. I made my peace with my parents a couple of years later, but it was good. It was what it should be." While Robert Plant would go on to become the iconic lead singer of the legendary rock band, the road to his role in the spotlight was fraught with twists of fate and the untimely collision of talent and timing. In 1968, Jimmy Page, the mastermind behind Led Zeppelin, was not only the band's chief executive, but also a seasoned professional musician with a reputation as a hard-nosed businessman. With a vision for a groundbreaking sound, Page embarked on a meticulous search for a lead singer who could elevate the band to unparalleled heights. Enter Robert Plant, a relatively unknown and untested vocalist at the time. Meanwhile, a figure loomed on the sidelines: Terry Reid, an established rock singer and songwriter who had caught the attention of none other than Aretha Franklin. In 1969, Franklin proclaimed, "There are only 3 things happening in England: the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and Terry Reid." Page, aware of Reid's prowess, extended an invitation for him to be the lead singer of the nascent Led Zeppelin. However, fate dealt a cruel hand, as Reid had already committed to being the opening act on several tours, making immediate collaboration impossible. In a tragic twist of timing, Reid suggested that if Page could wait a few weeks, they could discuss the opportunity further. Regrettably, impatience prevailed, and Page, driven by his unwavering determination, opted not to wait. Instead, Reid recommended Robert Plant, paving the way for Plant to seize the role that would define his career. Despite the professional politeness of Reed, who claims no regrets or hard feelings, the alternate path not taken casts a shadow over Led Zeppelin's origin story. Reed cited his shifting musical interests away from rock, particularly what he referred to as hard rock, as the reason behind his decision. The divergence in musical preferences and the clash of schedules contributed to a missive connection that altered the trajectory of two talented musicians. In 1968, Plant, a 19-year-old artist, found himself on the cusp of obscurity, armed with a record contract with CBS Records, but devoid of notable success. Despite his relative anonymity, Plant exuded confidence, showcasing his skills as a songwriter and performer. However, the perplexing twist in this narrative lies in the omission of Plant's name from the song credits on Led Zeppelin's first album. A closer inspection of the original pressing of this iconic record reveals a conspicuous absence of Plant's contributions. Even on more recent pressings, his acknowledgement is limited to a co-writing credit on the song "Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You," a concession resulting from a later lawsuit. The source of this tragic omission stems from the intricacies of Plant's contractual entanglements. At the time, he was bound by a contract with CBS Records, creating a legal hurdle that prevented him from receiving due credit for the songs on Led Zeppelin's debut album, signed under Atlantic Records. This seemingly bureaucratic obstruction painted a distorted picture of Plant's involvement in the creation of the album. In reality, the early days of Led Zeppelin were characterized by a highly collaborative songwriting process. George Case, a writer on the subject, emphasizes that the idea that Plant wasn't actively involved in shaping the musical landscape of the band is absurd. However, the restrictive nature of the contractual web left Plant officially unrecognized for his creative contributions to one of the most famous and celebrated albums in rock history. In the zenith of 1970, Robert Plant found himself immersed in a life that appeared idyllic. As the lead singer of the wildly successful band Led Zeppelin, he reveled in the euphoria of musical triumph. Simultaneously, he embraced the joys of domesticity, having recently tied the knot with Maureen Wilson and welcomed a baby daughter named Carmen. Their harmonious existence unfolded on a serene farm in rural England, adorned with the comforting presence of a pet dog and a few goats. Yet, the tranquil tableau was about to be shattered by the first of two harrowing encounters with near-fatal automobile accidents. The Irish Times recounts a poignant chapter in Plant's life during the copyright infringement trial revolving around the iconic song "Stairway to Heaven." The trial, brought by the estate of Randy Wolfe, the lead singer of the band Spirit, unfolded with surprising revelations. During the proceedings, Plant was confronted with the claim that he had attended a Spirit concert and even engaged in a game of snooker with one of Spirit's members. However, Plant vehemently asserted the impossibility of pilfering any elements from Spirit's song, citing an alarming reason. He had no recollection of those events. His testimony unfolded as a tragic tale of memory obliteration, woven from the fabric of a traumatic car crash. Plant recounted the gruesome aftermath of the accident, detailing how Maureen, his beloved wife, suffered a fractured skull, and he too bore the scars of the collision. "Part of the windshield buried in the top of my head," he told the court. The severity of the crash had become a temporal eraser, wiping clean the events that transpired before it. The toll on Plant's memory was so profound that he could not recall attending a Spirit concert or participating in a casual game of snooker. The life of a professional singer is a delicate dance, a perpetual balancing act where the strains on the body, particularly the respiratory system, throat and vocal cords, are ever present, While inexperienced vocalists may inadvertently subject their voices to undue stress, seasoned professionals quickly learn the paramount importance of preserving their vocal instrument for a sustained and fruitful career. However, the toll of the spotlight is evident in the journeys of many renowned singers, who, despite their diligence, have found themselves facing the surgeon's scalpel. Vocal cord surgery to remove nodules has been a common recourse for singers, grappling with the physical demands of their craft. Among the illustrious names who have undergone such procedures are Julie Andrews and Meghan Trainor, both emblematic of the arduous journey to maintain the gift of song. The list extends to include Miley Cyrus, Adele, and Justin Timberlake, individuals whose struggles to reclaim their singing voices after surgery have been chronicled in the annals of musical history. In the enigmatic case of Robert Plant, the timeline of his vocal cord surgery remains shrouded in uncertainty. Although the exact moment when he underwent the procedure is elusive, the New York Post affirms that it did transpire, leaving fans to speculate based on discernible shifts in Plant's vocal quality. The years 1972 and 1973 emerge as the most common conjectures, as enthusiasts perceive a noticeable transformation in Plant's singing style post-surgery. The consensus is that he appeared to veer away from the primal howls that characterized much of his earlier work, adopting a seemingly less adventurous approach. The complexity of pinpointing the surgery's timing is compounded by Led Zeppelin's 1975 album, Physical Graffiti. The album features a mix of tracks recorded over several years, blending both contemporary and earlier recordings. This intricacy renders a straightforward comparison between the album and Plant's earlier work an intricate puzzle for fans and music historians alike. The zenith of Led Zeppelin's supremacy in 1975 was poised to usher in a new era with an upcoming tour and a highly anticipated album, solidifying their status as the biggest band in the world. Riding the wave of a monumental tour that had not only captivated audiences, but also lined their coffers with considerable wealth, Led Zeppelin was prepared to perpetuate their unprecedented momentum. However, as fate would have it, tragedy struck on August 4th, casting a somber shadow over the band's ambitions. In a rented car on the serene island of Rhodes, Robert Plant, the charismatic lead singer, occupied the passenger seat. Behind the wheel was his wife, Maureen, with their children, Karak and Carmen, nestled in the back seat alongside a friend. In an instant, the car careened off the road, soaring over a ledge before finding an abrupt perch in a tree. The aftermath was nothing short of harrowing. Plant's right leg bore the brunt of the impact, shattered in several places. Maureen, unconscious and bleeding, and the children too, were victims of the violent collision. Help was agonizingly delayed, leaving the injured family trapped in the wreckage for hours. When Plant finally emerged from the clutches of the hospital, he was confined to a wheelchair, a poignant symbol of the physical toll exacted by the accident. Karak sported a broken leg, and Maureen carried the weight of a fractured skull. The mere survival of all involved amounted to nothing short of a miraculous twist of fate. The dream of another tour disintegrated in the face of this calamity. Undeterred, the band rallied to create their 1976 album, Presence. However, the recording process was marred by the specter of tragedy. Plant, confined to a wheelchair, navigated the studio to lay down his vocals, a testament to his unwavering commitment despite the physical and emotional turmoil. The album's lyrics, a reflection of Plant's internal battles, echoed the profound impact of the accident, immersing the music in a dark, melancholic undertone. In 1977, Led Zeppelin found themselves in the arduous task of reclaiming their musical prowess after a forced semi-hiatus in 1975. prompted by Robert Plant's harrowing injuries from a car crash. As they emerged from this period of relative dormancy, the landscape of the music world had undergone a transformation with the rise of punk rock, casting a shadow on Led Zeppelin's 1976 album, Presence, which was perceived as a modest addition to their illustrious catalog. Seeking to reassert their dominance, the band embarked on a world tour, determined to reclaim their title as the biggest band in the world. However, their aspirations encountered early setbacks when Plant lost his voice for several weeks, leading to the postponement of tour dates. Undeterred, they eventually hit the road in April, hoping to recapture the magic that had defined their earlier years. Tragedy struck with a cruel twist on July 26, 1977. Ultimate Classic Rock recounts the heart-wrenching sequence of events that unfolded for Robert Plant. The first phone call delivered the distressing news that his son, Karak, was unwell. The second call, arriving shortly after, brought the devastating revelation. Plant's 5-year-old son had succumbed to the illness. A mere week earlier, Plant's daughter, Carmen, had battled a stomach virus but had managed to recover. When Karak fell ill, it was initially perceived as a recurrence of the same virus. However, the severity of the illness hit Karak with unrelenting force. In the face of this tragedy, Plant made the agonizing decision to leave the tour immediately and flew back home to be with his grieving family. Unsurprisingly, the remainder of the tour was promptly canceled. Led Zeppelin, already grappling with the task of reclaiming their musical legacy, now faced an even greater challenge, navigating the profound grief that enveloped one of its central figures. The sudden loss of Karak marked a poignant chapter in the band's history, forever altering the narrative of their struggle to regain their musical groove. Robert Plant has left an indelible mark on the industry with his role as the lead singer of one of the most successful hard rock bands, Led Zeppelin, and his subsequent solo career, spanning 4 decades and eclipsing his 12 years with the legendary group. However, amidst the glittering trajectory of his musical journey, there exists a poignant chapter marked by personal tragedy and the profound re-evaluation of life's priorities. In 1977, a year that should have been a triumph for Led Zeppelin as they sought to reclaim their musical prowess, tragedy struck Robert Plant's world with devastating force. His 5-year-old son, Karak, fell gravely ill and, despite the efforts to save him, succumbed to the illness. The loss was an unfathomable blow, shaking the foundations of Plant's existence and prompting him to contemplate a drastic departure from the world of music. As Plant revealed to Louder, the profound grief and reflection on the merit of his life led him to seriously consider leaving the music scene behind. The idea of putting more into the reality of his family, particularly his daughter and loved ones, became a compelling force in his thoughts. In his own words, he contemplated jacking it in, a stark admission that hinted at the depths of his despair and the overwhelming desire to be with his grieving family. The decision to step away from Led Zeppelin and the music industry altogether seemed imminent for Plant during this dark period. His soul-searching journey, however, took a pivotal turn with the intervention of his closest confidant, drummer John Bonham. Plant recounts that Bonham, his best friend, played a crucial role in convincing him to persevere with music and Led Zeppelin, despite the searing pain of loss that threatened to extinguish his creative flame. The profound connection between Robert Plant and John Bonham, the esteemed drummer for Led Zeppelin, predated the band's meteoric rise. Their camaraderie commenced in 1965, when Plant, a mere 17 years old, crossed paths with Bonham. Together, they lent their musical prowess to 2 bands in the ensuing years, the Crawling King Snakes and the Band of Joy, revived by Plant in 2010. When Plant received the offer to assume the role of lead singer for Led Zeppelin in 1968, he didn't hesitate to recommend Bonham for the drumming duties, cementing their collaborative journey within what would become the world's biggest band. Despite the heights of success reached by Led Zeppelin, tragedy struck on September 24, 1980. John Bonham, known for his heavy drinking, went to sleep after a night of excessive drinking and tragically choked in his sleep. The drumming virtuoso, only 32 years old, succumbed to this untimely demise. The loss was devastating for Plant, who, as recounted by On Stage magazine, shared years later, "He was a very, very dear friend of mine that I miss every day." The impact of Bonham's death reverberated through the fabric of Led Zeppelin, leaving an indelible mark on Plant's psyche. Despite the persistent clamor for a Led Zeppelin reunion over the years, Plant's unwavering grief over Bonham's passing has been a decisive factor in preventing such a revival. As revealed by Bonham's son, Jason, to Billboard, Plant expressed, "I loved your dad way too much. Way too. When your father left us, left the world, that was it for Led Zeppelin." In 1968, amid the soaring ascent of Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant took a significant step in his personal life, marrying Maureen Wilson. Their connection, however, predates the band's meteoric rise, as they first crossed paths in 1966. Rocks Off magazine highlights Maureen's crucial role in supporting Plant during his early, struggling musician days, with her nursing work sustaining them through the challenges of an unknown artist's journey. Plant's love for Maureen was evident in his dedication to the song "Thank You" on Led Zeppelin II, a poignant and public declaration of his affection and commitment. Maureen accompanied Plant on the initial Led Zeppelin tour, but as their family expanded with the birth of their first child, Carmen, she transitioned into a role of staying at home with the children, while Plant continued to tour. Despite Plant's efforts to be a devoted father and husband, the demands of his musical career posed a formidable distraction. In an interview with Louder, Plant acknowledged the conflict, stating, "I'd spent so much time trying to be a decent dad, but at the same time I was really attracted to what I was doing in Zeppelin." The couple faced an unimaginable tragedy in 1977, when their 5-year-old son, Karek, passed away suddenly from a stomach virus. The devastating loss left Plant contemplating quitting his music career, a testament to the profound impact of the tragedy on his life. Despite the ongoing challenges, Maureen and Plant carried on, welcoming their son Logan in 1979. However, the weight of both personal loss and the toll of Plant's burgeoning career took its toll on their relationship. In 1983, the couple made the difficult decision to part ways, and they officially divorced. Plant has never remarried, carrying the echoes of the tumultuous years and heartbreaking loss in the backdrop of his personal history. The essence of a singer lies in their voice, an embodiment of their living essence and identity. For Robert Plant, whose vocal prowess ranks among the most iconic in rock music, the fragility of life was starkly highlighted when faced with a threat to his instrument. Like many artists, Plant, known for his self-critical nature, openly admitted to finding many of his early vocals on Led Zeppelin songs horrific, as he shared with The Guardian. However, the most poignant chapter in Plant's vocal journey unfolded in the early 1970s, when he underwent surgery to remove nodules from his vocal cords, a procedure not uncommon among singers, but one that carries the potential to terminate a singing career. Debates among Led Zeppelin fans persist about whether this surgery caused a discernible change in Plant's vocals. Nevertheless, Plant managed to overcome this hurdle and continued his singing career. The resilience of his voice prevailed, allowing him to navigate the challenges posed by the surgical intervention. Yet the narrative took a heart-stopping turn in the early 1990s. As reported by Alternative Nation, Plant sought medical advice and received a chilling prognosis. He was informed that he would lose his voice within a few months, leaving him unable to speak, let alone sing. Reflecting on this dire revelation in 2019, Plant expressed the profound impact of such moments, stating, "The number of times you think you've had it, you think it's gone." There's a certain number of singers who were so hard on themselves, it's lost forever. After the dissolution of his 15-year marriage to Maureen in 1983, Robert Plant navigated the realm of dating. Yet he never found a connection that rivaled the depth of commitment he had experienced with his former wife. In 2010, Plant made a significant musical move by deciding to revive one of his early groups, Band of Joy. During this revitalization, he brought in new musicians, including folk singer-songwriter Patty Griffin, who joined as a backing singer. Their professional collaboration quickly evolved into a serious romantic relationship, leading Plant to take a significant step by moving in with Griffin in Austin, Texas. The couple's connection extended beyond the personal realm as they collaborated on Band of Joy's album, released in 2010. However, despite the seemingly solid foundation, the relationship took an unexpected turn in 2014, leading to its dissolution. Plant, deeply affected by the breakup, made the poignant decision to move back to England after spending several years in America with Griffin. While Griffin has chosen to remain silent on the details of the relationship and its ending, the emotional toll on Plant is evident. In a candid admission to Louder, Plant shared the emotional resonance of the breakup, particularly on his 2017 album, Carry Fire. He expressed, "If you listen to the album, you can hear me pouring out my heart to whoever's interested, 'cause that's what I do, and it's not easy to do that, believe me." The music became an outlet for Plant to channel the complexities of heartbreak and the challenges of navigating the aftermath of a significant and intimate connection. What do you think about Robert Plant's tragic life? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.